Hello there, this is Math 0018, section 1.5, and today we're going to look at how to divide integers. So, way back in elementary school, probably about third grade is when they started teaching you division, and your teacher probably said, well, how do you know your division answer is right? And told you to multiply it back up to make sure that your answer was correct. And that also still works, and it also applies to our sign rules that we have here. So for every division problem, there's a related multiplication problem. That's why they told you to multiply back up to check your answers. We know that 8 divided by 2 is 4 because 4 times 2 gives us 8. So because of this relation, the sign rules that we just learned for multiplying integers back in section 1.4 also apply to dividing integers. So here's our sign rules right here. Sorry about that. All right, the sign rules we have for dividing integers is if the numbers are the same, two numbers with the same sign, you divide, and the quotient is the answer to a division problem, the quotient is positive. So same signs positive, just like multiplication. And if you're dividing two numbers with different signs, the answer is negative. Okay? So the exact same rules as multiplication. So in your head, you've got the adding, subtracting rules, and you've got your multiplying and dividing rules. So that's what you need to go back and forth between the two. Okay, so let's think about this for a minute. Think about adding integers. If the signs are the same, you add and keep the sign. If the signs are different, you subtract and keep the sign of the larger number. So repeat that to yourself, okay? And if you need to, rewind the video and hear it again. Now, hop over to the multiplying and dividing closet in your brain, okay? You multiplying and dividing, if the signs are the same, it's positive. If the signs are different, negative. So those are a little bit easier because you're always going to multiply, you're always going to divide. With the adding and subtracting, you have to, or with the adding rules, you have to decide, do I add, do I subtract? Is this where I keep the bigger sign? Is this where I keep the same sign? You have to keep those rules straight. So make sure you start memorizing those rules so that you can apply them to your quizzes and tests. So here's some examples underneath here. Negative 18 divided by negative 2, the signs are the same, so the answer is a positive 9. Okay, so you get a positive answer there. Negative 36 divided by 9, the signs are different, so the answer is going to be negative 4. All right, so now here's something you need to see. Whenever you have a fraction, it's also considered a division problem. And if the fraction is negative, the negative sign can go up top in the numerator, like this first example, negative a over b. It could also be, the negative sign could be on the bottom in the denominator, as in a over negative b, or they can put the negative sign out in front of the entire fraction, negative a over b. So all of those things, all of those examples right there are the same thing. All of those are negative fractions. The whole fraction is negative, okay? But if you look at the second example underneath, if we have a negative a over a negative b, think about your division rules. If the signs are the same, the answer is positive. So even if you're not going to simplify any further, like say we have negative 2 over negative 5, you can't do anything with 2/5. You can't reduce it, you can't divide 2 by 5, but you must simplify the signs to be a positive 2/5. So you can't leave two negatives on a fraction. You have to go ahead and simplify that to be a positive. So here's just a quick reminder of our division rules. If the signs are the same, the quotient is positive. The signs are different, it's negative. That's what you need to memorize. So let's look at some examples. And oh, I thought the next thing was coming up. So now, before we look at examples, we're going to look at the properties of division. Now, we do have a symbol down beneath this, and it looks like an equal sign with a line, a slash through it. That's read as is not equal to. Okay, so look at this first one. These deal with 0 and with 1. Okay, so if we have 0 divided by any number, a represents any number, the answer is 0. Okay, 0 divided by any number other than 0 is just plain old 0. So if you have 0 divided by 3, you just get 0. And you can check it. If you do 0 times 3, you get 0. So it works. Okay, now if we have any number, the second one down here, any number divided by itself, as long as that number is not 0, it's always going to be 1. So something like 5 divided by 5 is always going to give you 1. Okay, the second and third ones here underneath these properties are probably the easiest. The first and the last one with zeros, those are the ones that are tricky. So we're going to talk about those a little bit more in depth. The third one here, any number divided by 1 still gives you that number. So if you have 17 divided by 1, you still get 17. Now these are not properties that you specifically need to know the name of. You just need to know how to get the answer to these types of problems. Now look at this last one. We have any number divided by 0, and they have a word here, undefined. Okay, so let's look at that. If we take the example we had up above, 0 divided by 3, but we flip it, 3 divided by 0. Okay, so you need to find something that goes here that will work. So in other words, you're trying to find out what times 0 will give me 3. Well, nothing, because anything times 0 is still 0. Like if you tried 0 there, 0 times 0 is not going to be 3. That doesn't work. If we put 3 here as an answer, 3 times 0, that's not 3. Doesn't work. So there's nothing that works there times 0 that will give you 3. So that's why you have to write this word undefined. Okay, and usually if you're working in the online program, the word will be there and you just click on it. Okay, so that's, it's kind of tricky between the first property up there and the last one with the zeros. So here's a way you can maybe keep them straight. Let's look at the first one. We had 0 divided by some number. Okay, so let's put 0 and we're going to let k be our number. Well, what does that tell you? Okay. Okay, top to bottom. That just gives you 0. It's okay to divide 0 by any number, okay? But the second one, if we take a number, and this time we're going to let it be n, divide it by 0, read that top to bottom. No, 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 you can't do it. Smack your hand, okay? That is undefined, all right? So that's how you can maybe keep those straight. Use those kind of little shorthands. Okay is okay, it gives you 0. No, that's undefined, okay? So if you don't like those, come up with your own, but that might be a way to help you keep those straight. All right, so now we have some examples to try here. All right, so look at the first one. 50 divided by -5. The signs are different, which means the answer is going to be a negative, and 50 divided by 5 is 10. Number 2, -36 divided by 3. Once again, the signs are different, so I know it's a negative, and that gives me 12. Okay. One thing to know, if you are using a basic 4-function calculator without a plus-minus key, which is what you're supposed to be using for this course, you cannot try and put these negative signs in using the subtraction sign with multiplying and dividing problems. It will see it as subtraction, and it will not give you the right answer. So these multiplication division sign rules, you're going to have to know these, okay? And I don't expect you to try and put -36 into a calculator. If you don't remember what 36 divided by 3 is, you just put 36 divided by 3. But you better remember what the sign should be. That's the part we're testing on. Do you know the signs are different, so the answer is negative? Things like that. That's what you need to remember. So let's look at number 3, -35 divided by -7. The signs are the same, which means it's going to be a +5. Number 4, even though it's a fraction, that's still a division problem. -42 divided by -6 would be +7. And number 5, I cheated and did this on my calculator before I started. -120 divided by -8. The signs are the same, so I know it's going to be a positive. And I did this on my calculator. It comes out to 15. So that's what you should use your calculator for. If it's something that you're not really sure of what the answer is, use it, let it do the computation. You figure out the signs. All right, number 6. This is tricky. -9 divided by 0. We'll put the number there, like put an N for the number, divided by 0. No, we can't do that. So that is undefined. So there's a couple ways to remember. If the 0 is at the end of the problem or at the bottom of a fraction, that's when it's undefined. All right, look at number 7. 0 divided by some number, so let's make this k, all right, or even if you put N there, right on. 0 is okay. Okay, just okay sounds a little bit more normal than saying right on. So whatever. So 0 divided by k would just be 0. Okay, or 0 divided by -3, same thing, 0. Okay, so look at number 8, 0 divided by 87. That's a 0 divided by some number. That's okay. That just gives you 0. Okay, 13 divided by 0. Can you divide by 0? No, that is what's undefined. So just remember, if you say when you're reading the problem out loud to yourself, if you say the words divided by 0, that's undefined. That's when you can't do it. All right, and number 10, 7 divided by 7. Any number divided by itself is 1. Okay. And number 11, -8 divided by 1 would just stay -8. All right. Okay, so pause the video and try these on your own and see what you get. Number 1 tells us to divide. -40 divided by 8 would be, signs are different, -5. Okay. Number 2, the signs are different. 18 divided by -2, so we know it's going to be a negative, and 18 divided by 2 is 9, -9. Number 3, -16 divided by -4, the signs are the same, so we're going to get a positive 4. Okay? Now, 4 and 5, look at the difference here. 0 divided by some number, that's okay. So that would just be 0. But 45 divided by 0, some number, no, n divided by 0, you can't do that. That's undefined. Okay, so make sure you keep those. It's hard to get those straight. Make sure you get those straight in your head. And number 6, -3 divided by 3 would be, signs are different, a -1. All right, so here is a chart with some phrases that indicate the operation of division. So we have divided by, that's pretty obvious. If we have 15 divided by -3, we write it out in that exact order. 15 divided by -3. The signs are different, so we get a -5. Quotient, that is probably the main word that you're going to see when you're talking about division phrases, is the quotient. And quotient always means division. The quotient of -56 and -8, we just write it out in that order. -56 divided by -8, two signs the same, so we get +7. The ratio of 45 and -5, you would have 45 divided by -5, so the order stays the same, equals, and the signs are different, so we get a -9. And then divide something by something else, like say we want to divide -100 by -20, you just write it in that order. So the nice thing about division, all of these phrases, the order stays the same. -100 divided by -20 would give me a +5. So now we're going to look at translating some mathematical expressions and simplifying them. So look at number 1, the quotient of 24 and -4. So quotient means division, so we're going to divide 24 divided by -4. Now, I'm only putting parentheses there to keep that negative sign with the 4. Don't let that bother you. If you don't put them there, it's not wrong. It's fine to do it either way. Now, the signs are different, so the answer is going to be a -6. All right? Number 2, -14 divided by -7. So, divided by, there's our keywords there, and you just write it out, -14 divided by -7. All right? And so, and you can put it in parentheses if you want. The signs are the same, so it's going to be +2. And number 3, divide -72 by 9. So we're going to have -72 divided by 9. Okay? Our signs are different, so it's going to be -8. All right? Now, look at number 4. You really have to be careful and read this carefully. A number A, okay, so that's our number, is being divided by another number B, okay? The two numbers have the same sign and neither number is 0. Will the answer be positive or negative? All right, so here's the key to this whole problem. They're being divided and they both have the same sign. So when you divide with the same sign, you always get a positive answer. So the answer there is it will be positive. So those are good kind of thinking questions. All right, so here's some for you to try. So pause your video, check them out on your own. Number 1, translate to a mathematical expression and simplify. The quotient of 32 and negative 8. So quotient is division. 32 divided by negative 8. The signs are different, so I get a negative 4. All right, number 2, 21 divided by negative 3. So we write it right in order. 21 divided by negative 3. And the signs are different, so that's going to be negative 7. And number 3, divide negative 64 by negative 4. So that's right in order. Negative 64 divided by negative 4. And that's the signs are the same, so that's going to give you a positive 16. All right, number 4. It's another one of those kind of thinking questions. A number A is being divided by another number B. The two numbers have different signs and neither number is 0. Will the answer be positive or negative? Okay, so they're being divided and they have different signs. So remember, in division, if the signs are different, the answer is negative. Okay? And that should be about it for section 1.5. So remember these rules for multiplying and dividing. If the signs are the same, the answer is positive. If the signs are different, the answer is negative. And that's it.